Welcome into the most must-see wrestling TV show or podcast out there, where we're going to be talking about everything from the Wyatt 6 debut, Drew McIntyre quitting and finally getting his revenge, also the return of Frito's Fave 5, as well as the bloodline just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. You have tuned in and found yourself on another episode of the We Book It podcast, baby. And I'm here with the We Book It boys. I am Virgil, even though it says Mike. And I'm here with Fritos and Coach. What's up, brothers?
What's up? It feels good to be back. I apologize to all my fans. 2 weeks off. I had a migraine. Tank told me to shove a frozen banana up my keister. That would have taken care of it, but I don't play that way, unlike him. And I had family last weekend. But don't worry. I'm back and ready to talk about nothing but wrestling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coachman, how you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm just rocking a St. Louis Cardinal t-shirt. They're actually doing pretty well, unlike Virgil's Cubs, who I think are losing right now on national television.
4-zip. Yep. 4-zip.
Yeah.
Can't even score a freaking run. Yeah, some par for the course, pal. That's what we do. Who knows? Who knows? Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the We Book It podcast. We appreciate all of you, all of our first time listeners, viewers. For those of you that are returning viewers and listeners, thank you as well for supporting the podcast. One thing we want to make sure that you do and you let everybody know is, hey, We Book It is actually a really, really good podcast, and we need everybody to make sure that you are liking, sharing, and subscribing the podcast, because we are trying to grow our listenership, our viewership. And again, we're one of the dopest wrestling podcasts you're going to find on the YouTube space right now, as well as X, as well as Facebook, as well as Instagram. Anywhere that podcasts and wrestling podcasts especially are talked about, we are there and we will be there. So, fellas, without further ado, it was a crazy week in wrestling. So we first and foremost got to start with the top headline. The Wyatt 6 debuted. Literally did not see this coming, was not ready, prepared for this. I thought this might be something more for SummerSlam, but our good buddy Paul Triple H Levesque did not want to wait until then to introduce them. He brought them out on Monday Night Raw, and the way that he brought them out was absolutely insane. So literally, once Jey Uso's match is over with, and he's doing the bounce with everybody, you just see a widescreen pan out shot of the audience, and then the lights just start going out, and more lights go out, and more lights go out. Next thing you know, it's all the way dark. And then that creepy, eerie music begins to play again. And then after that, you see the door. And then after the door, you see Nikki Cross walk out of the door. Or I'm sorry, Sister Abigail walk out of the door. And she points you to back behind the door. The camera pans back behind the door, walks into gorilla position. Before you even get to gorilla position, you see bodies laid out on the side with Ramblin' Rabbit standing above them with his hammer. Which that hammer is a shout out to the Bludgeon Brothers. That's a shout out to Brody Lee as well. May he rest in peace. And then you go to the back, and then as you see in Gorilla, there's sparks flying everywhere. The lights are trembling on and off. And then who was sitting up on top of of one of the boxes?
Mercy Buzzard.
Mercy the Buzzard. Yep. So and then after that, you see bodies sprayed out all over there too. Then after that, you go behind the curtain into a long hallway, And the first thing you see, it looks like Chad Gable got a gunshot wound to the side of his head, which was crazy. And then obviously you see the pig next, which what's his name?
Husky.
Husky the pig.
Yep.
The pig. And then after Huskus, you turn and you pan and you see Uncle Howdy in the distance. And he walks you out. He walks the crowd. He walks out. He walks the rest of them. They begin to follow him. They walk out. They bypass the door. They walk all the way on the other side of it. They go stand with Nikki. And then he says, "We're here." And he blows out the light. And the show goes off. So, fellas, what did you think of this debut? How did this make you feel?
For me, goosebumps. Everything about it. I mean, I know I was hoping for this during a pay-per-view, but for this to be free on national television on a Monday night, Triple H was cooking with everything. I was surprised with all the blood that we saw. I thought we legit saw a murder. It was insane. Where the guy next to Dexter Lumis, the blood on the wall splattered, insane. Then seeing all the bodies, which I know some people were speculating on X, like, oh, did they take out Gunther? Did they take out Carmelo? It was confirmed later on they were just, extras, wasn't the actual stars. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're targets for the Wyatt Six, because I think their storyline is going to be all about family going on. And I'm telling you, with the potential of all of the factions, that broken up in the past years, it's going to be pretty insane.
Yeah, it was, like you said, Frito's goosebumps. From the minute that door cracked open to Uncle Howdy blowing out the lantern, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. I was not expecting... I mean, they had teased that it was going to be a massacre, but when we think about WWE programming, massacre usually means like, someone's behind and hit you, and that's it. Maybe you get a couple chair shots. I mean, it looked like a guy literally had the backside of his head blown out along the wall in Gorilla. We have never seen something like that. Now, as long as also Chad Gable, apparently he's okay, and he's supposed to wrestle tomorrow night in his qualifying match. So this is a great opportunity for WWE that his new intro needs to be Many Men by 50 Cent. So that he walks out, literally died, and he's back.
Wow.
In all seriousness, I thought beautiful execution on introducing this new faction, and I am 100% on board to see where this goes. I want to see what happens tomorrow night, especially since Gable is cleared to wrestle, are they going to interfere in the match, or are they just going to keep looking for another victim? That I'm just very curious to see how that goes forward, but I'm all in on the Wyatt Six.
Which I do think they're going to play some role, because on X, when Pierce made the announcement, there was a little bit of camera interference when he mentioned Gable going on, that he's okay.
Right.
So you expect that. And also kind of weird because Braun Strowman is going to be in that match as well. So maybe they do something with him too, with deep ties.
Yeah, I mean, he could be the sixth member of the Wyatt Six. They, like I said, they try to get him back to his roots and try to show him where he belongs with his family. I like that idea actually of messing with of him being like the first one to have to fight them and stuff like that. Because I mean, the Braves' last title match was against him, wasn't it? It was. I believe it was him, and it was Roman. Yep, it was him, and it was Roman. So, like I said, I mean, deep family ties, I think, is a good way to go with this, and I think that the Wyatt Six are going to prey up on families. So, don't be surprised if you see the Bloodline having to play out with them as well. I thought that it was very well put together, very well cinematically put together. WWE used a lot of blood this week, a lot of blood, a lot of gore. You would have thought it was an AEW show with how much blood, buckets of blood they probably went through, fake blood or real blood. But I mean, like I said, they're really starting to up their game, and you can see the transition from the PG era into this new era that they're going into, where there's going to be more realism. They're going to use things that excite us fans, us older fans, and attracts us back to wrestling. So it's very exciting time. Definitely think that the Wyatt Six will play a big role in that. And I think that that it's going to just be fun to watch where they go from here with them. And again, you don't necessarily need to put titles on them. You don't have to have them fighting for anything outside of, hey, we have a problem with you. We have history with you. Bray had history with you. We're here to avenge Bray Wyatt, or whatnot. Or we're here to right a wrong or do something of the sort. So I'm very curious to see what the writing will be like, especially with Bray not being there. Where do the characters go? What's their dynamics? Are they going to wrestle with masks on, or are they going to actually show you their actual faces? I mean, because like I said, those masks fully covered their faces. So I'm just curious to see the different ways that they make this group work, the different things that they decide to do with them. I think it'll definitely be worth telling a story on. So, any other thoughts on the Wyatt Six, guys?
Also, they are huge fans of Whataburger. A fan after the show met up with them, took pictures from. So, if you go to Whataburger, you might see the Wyatt Six. So be prepared. Bring your holy water, your Bible, your cross, whatever.
Whatever you need. All right. Do you have anything else, Coach? Me, like you're going to say something?
Yeah. I'm very curious to see who this. Right now it's 5, and of course the play on words 6 with 6, and instead, I am curious to see this plays a factor into this. If she's helping at all, or if she's just going to go back to her normal kind of character that she had before she started working with Bray. I think that's where I'm most interested. Is she going to play a role in all this, or like you suggested, Mike, it's going to be Braun that might play a role of being that 6th person. I don't know. I feel like Alexa is going back for something.
I would venture to say it might be a better idea to let Alexa, at least for now, go on her own and do her own thing. And like I said, and just reestablish herself. I mean, again, you got Nikki Cross in the group already. Do you necessarily need to have Alexa Bliss also be in there? Like I said, and stuff like that. I don't know. Honestly, I think Alexa doing her own thing might be better.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind if they don't have a 6th member, and it was like an honorary spot for Bray. Like on the Jumbotron, they have like a ghostly like picture of him in the background during their matches to be like he's right there. He's
like
here.
Watching over us. Yeah,
exactly.
That wouldn't be bad. That's not a bad idea either.
See, return the Booker, baby. I'm back. I'm cooking. Call me up, Triple H.
Oh my gosh, here he goes again. Well, he booked this one before he left, and it happened. We said his name, and he appeared. Joe Hendry showed up on WWE television, and can I tell you, he has not stopped talking about it on social media since it happened. The buzz that he has going right now as a wrestling talent, he is fully buying into, and I like I said, he is very proud of all that he has accomplished or is accomplishing. It looks like right now, I mean, like I said, when he entered, fans were going insane. Everybody wanted to see Joe Hendry, and I was happy that WWE gave him a spot where it was just him. Like, come back in from commercial break, bunch of guys already in the ring. They do one entrance, and then after that entrance, boom, Joe Hendry. And the place just erupts. And it was such a good feeling. Had to be for Joe. I know it was for everybody that's been clamoring to see Joe. How did this moment make you guys feel?
Oh, it was unbelievable.
I was ecstatic. I literally had my TV on split screen. I was watching the hockey game and this. I literally, as soon as I saw Joe, I said, screw it. left it on there. I was disappointed he was the first man eliminated, but I think this is going to be for storylines continue on with the NXT and TNA partnership that they got going on. So if right now, he's, got knocked out, but if it builds on to more seeing Joe Hendry on NXT and WWE, heck, he even talked about Shawn Michaels complaining in a little video on X saying, I will appear on any show. So maybe later down the line, maybe we'll get him on SmackDown or Raw. It will be loud. So,
I'm
sure. Excited.
For sure. Joe Hendry's arrival in WWE now officially ranks as the highest viewed tweet on WWE's official Twitter in 2024 with 14.3 million views and 100,000 likes. So yeah, he is cooking right now when it comes to somebody that's got cachet and something that everybody wants to see. Joe Hendry's up there right now. Coachman, what'd you say?
Yeah, eating dinner, watching NXT, and it caught me off guard because they have everyone already in the ring, like the jobber entrances, and then they say Javon Evans is coming in, and I was like, oh, well, okay, so is that it? Like, that's how we're just going to start? Just Evans gets the only intro, and I didn't even hear the song go off. I just saw the JH logo go off on the Titantron behind all the wrestlers, and then I just immediately turned up the TV, and I was like, oh my God, it's happening. It's actually happening. And he cuts a great promo, and I want to see what that crowd would be like when it's in a sold-out arena at a major pay-per-view or PLE now, or even just at a Raw and SmackDown. Because
I wondered the same thing about Trick Williams too. When I was like, man, like would the whoop that trick chant happen if they were in an arena too? But it happened. It traveled over. So this may travel over too.
Yeah, and NXT, they do a great job of everything. It's just the crowd size is their only factor. But again, for what they're working with, it's understandable. It's just I want to see that bigger crowd, and I want to see how they react when, say his name and he appears.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
So literally, it just dawned on me, guys. This is why Big Daddy C isn't here today. Because he knew we were going to spend a whole segment talking about Joe Hendry. So he literally skipped the whole podcast just so he didn't have to talk about
He went
Joe
to
Hendry
a JT concert.
That's a cover up. He could have made it on to the pod tonight. It's a cover up. He just didn't want to talk about Joe Hendry. But literally, TNA needs to strike while the iron is hot with Joe Hendry and have him be the one to take that TNA championship off of Moose. And then, like I said, who knows? He can potentially lose that belt to AJ Styles going over to TNA. Like I said, and becoming world heavyweight champion, TNA world heavyweight champion, because he couldn't get it done over in WWE. The possibilities are endless. But if AJ Styles goes back to TNA, I don't want his WWE theme. I need to hear "Get Ready to Fly." Do 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 do. I am. It's just has to happen. This just has to happen. That's the only way. There's the only way. It's only one way this could go, and that has to be the way. If you don't come back with that, I'm not gonna mark out as hard as I would if he did come back with that thing. So yeah, man. But no, I'm super excited for Joe Hendry. Super happy for him. Like I said, I'm thankful that WWE is opening doors and doing partnerships and working with people that we never thought we would see. It was about time, and this was so refreshing, and I'm so happy that it happened. It just makes my heart overjoyed to see things you never thought you would see in wrestling, especially in WWE wrestling, happening, right?
Yeah, it's a breath of fresh air with both companies working together, and it's not I wouldn't say it's either one's like they're trying to bury each other's talents. You can tell working together to give their talents the right storylines. So, like Roxanne Perez beating Jordan Grace, everyone was like, "Oh, they just buried Jordan Grace and everything." It's like, no, they set up a storyline because now she's defending her title in a triple threat against Ash by Excellence, aka Dana Brooke, and I'm drawing a blank on who that third girl, but she's an NXT girl that came over and interrupted TNA's show. So, I mean, that's not burying talent. That's developing storylines and interest. And I think that's what these wrestlers are all about. They want to develop that interest in not just their own company's fans, but the other company's fans.
I think that is the way that you get like wrestling fans win when partnerships like these happen. I mean, like I said, wrestling fans won in 97 and 96, 97 when ECW was having matches on WWF Raw. Wrestling fans won, you know, when AEW began to work with New Japan Pro Wrestling, when TNA worked with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And wrestling fans are winning again with this new partnership between TNA and WWE. And again, especially, like I said, when you already they're taking the page out of AEW's book with this and working with companies and just building interest from every which side. And I'm very excited for this. I think this is just wonderful that this is happening during this time. And I think it lets you know there's no door that is forbidden. And to segue into that, how would you guys feel? There was rumor going on. How would you guys feel if Shane McMahon showed up in AEW?
Odd.
Ooh.
It's gonna be odd. Just the fact that I'm so used to seeing Shane on WWE program for forever, so then seeing him on AEW, it's gonna be weird. But I'm curious on what his role is gonna be. Is he gonna be kind of like his dad taking over and just running everything? Or is he gonna do some stuff in the ring, which the last time he attempted to do something, his leg just gave out. His leg gave out, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's right. You were there.
So I'm just curious on what his role and to what extent it is. Because if he does something to replace Tony and he's able to, you know, get everyone's ducks in line, I'm all for it because it helps the, you know, product and it gives the fans something to like. So
I don't think Tony Khan would ever relinquish his ownership or his head over things with AEW. But what I do think though is that Shane McMahon could come in and kind of course correct some of the mistakes and some of the issues that AEW has been plagued with throughout all this time. It's been just a lot going on, and not in a positive light, you know, like I said, but they have so much young talent that they just don't use, that they just don't put out there, that these guys just have an opportunity, you know, to really, really shine and could shine, but just don't shine because they just don't get the opportunity because the same guys keep getting the spotlight. So I think Shane McMahon could be an asset. According to Tony Khan, he said that he's never talked to Shane McMahon a day in his life. Could he be lying? Absolutely. I'm inclined to believe him though. So I don't know. What do you think, Coachman?
And it just would feel weird, and I think it would actually kind of hurt Shane McMahon's kind of legacy. And that's nothing against AEW. I don't think that would hurt him. I think it would be the fact that the reason why he would go to AEW is to try and make a name for himself. But at that same time, I think people would take it as he's trying to get away from what Vince has done and everything and try and separate him there. I feel like that's just going to draw more attention to it. But that's my 2 cents about it. Again, nothing wrong with if he goes to AEW, like wrestling or anything like that. That legacy would be fine. I think it's outside of wrestling is where it's going to be muddy waters for him.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Muddy
I like
water.
that reference too.
Vince
Yeah.
McMahon.
I didn't even think about that.
Speaking of muddying the waters, it got personal this past week. It got so personal. We come off Clash at the Castle where CM Punk screwed Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship again, his match against Damian Priest. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but just I feel like the unpredictability is back in wrestling, especially in WWE wrestling. Like, I mean, obviously, you know, somebody's not gonna necessarily lose or win the World Championship on a Raw or SmackDown, but then again, you never know. But outside of that, you just don't know who's gonna show up. You don't know what's gonna be done. You know, and it's really entertaining. But anyways, Drew comes out and he quits Raw. He quits WWE. He said, "I can't do this anymore." And they literally feed into it. And then backstage, Triple H meets him at the curtains, like with his hands up, like, "What was that? What is going on?" So I'm not joking with you. I'm out of here. I can't do this anymore. F this crap. Like, and I mean, he's using all these expletives. Like, he's like really upset about it. And so you make it believable. And like Adam Pearce is trying to talk to him, trying to call him into his office and get him to talk him down off the ledge. But I don't think Drew was having any of it. Then you fast forward to Friday Night SmackDown, which in the press conference after Clash at the Castle, CM Punk said he's going to go home to Chicago, get cleared, and then he'll be at SmackDown Friday night because Chicago hosted SmackDown this past Friday. He was going to come there. He's going to make a major announcement that he's cleared and he's ready to compete again. We did not get that announcement, which means he probably still needs a little bit more time to heal, even though he's swearing up and down that his arm feels fine. I think he still needs some time to heal. But outside of that, he also told he gets approached by Paul Heyman and the Bloodline. Paul Heyman tells him, like, "Yo, listen, out of respect, you're my best friend. You sat next to my kids at the Hall of Fame. You're you're my best friend. You're one of the most dangerous men out there, the best in the world. And no doubt, when you do finally get cleared, so newsflash, CM Punk ain't cleared to wrestle yet. When you do finally get cleared, you will no doubt come back and prove that you're the best in the world. So it's taking a little bit more time for that arm to heal than originally thought of. But anyways, then obviously the Bloodline comes out and they're getting ready to beat up Punk. Cody comes in through the back, has a chair, slides a baseball bat to CM Punk. They scare off the Bloodline, and then I'm sorry, Cody sets up a match between him and Solo for later that night. Then they scare off the Bloodline and whatnot and stuff like that. And then after that, they leave. Later on in the show, Tommaso Ciampa is arguing with A-Town Down Under, and literally the gate behind them just starts coming up out of nowhere. And they're like in the middle of an argument. And I really love this segment because I like the transition of you're just watching these guys argue, talk trash about who's going to be the WWE Tag Team Champions, and then the gate just comes up. And as the gate comes up, you see a bloodied CM Punk laid out on the ground. Drew McIntyre picks him up, and then Hog carries him out to the entranceway and drops his limp body there. Bloodied, nasty, beat up face. And Drew literally is just sitting there looking at the work he's done while this Chicago crowd is tearing him a new one. What did you guys think of this? Everything that progressed, this story that literally started Monday night and went all the way into, and we still don't know if Drew McIntyre actually is going to show up on Raw Monday night or if he really quit or whatnot. So, I mean, what did you guys think of all of this? What made you make of it?
I think Drew is showing up on Monday. I thought he said something on Twitter that I'll see you Monday. He's going to explain his actions. But to break it down, there's certain points of this whole storyline. It's kind of insane. Drew quitting and everyone just being shocked. That's nuts. can't think of a storyline off the top of my head. I'm sure you guys know. I just can't think of one word: quitting, then coming back, seeking revenge immediately like that. But the part that got me most was Heyman coming out and talking to him, and he's scared of this whole new bloodline. He's afraid, and he said, "Take me with you." When he, if you look at that man's face, he had tears rolling down. Once he's done with wrestling, that man needs to go into Hollywood. Throw him in a movie, throw him in a drama where it involves him crying. He's getting a damn Oscar. I'm saying that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We were expecting the CM Punk news about him, being healthy and returning. After this, I'm going to say he's probably not going to be ready till SummerSlam. Maybe a little bit longer, especially afterwards, how Drew dropped him right there.
Oh, yeah. It was not really a nice drop.
Mm-hmm.
It was really like, I don't give an F about you.
Mm-hmm. Then, him mocking him. And if you notice, the very end, he took his bracelet that his wife made for him, the Chicago one. It's very subtle. You can see him. He steals that bracelet from him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nick Aldis getting involved and shoving back at Drew and getting in his face. Which, honestly, Aldis is probably one of my all-time favorite GMs right now. Just the fact that he's not afraid to get in a wrestler's face while everyone else has kind of, been, book nerdy, afraid to get involved, but he's not afraid to get in their face and yell at them. So I love Aldis more for this. But this storyline is probably insane. It's probably some of the best right now going on, even though it's taken a longer build up with the whole injury, but it's fantastic.
I would say the one thing that would have made this better is if we didn't know Drew already signed a new contract.
Right.
I think if that was held from our knowledge, hearing him say, "I quit," that's that realism, that balance of reality and fiction of like, oh God, is this actually true? Like, is he doing this for real? I mean, storyline wise, yes, he quit, but for me, it was just like, okay, well, I know he's going to be here just because of that new contract, but if we hadn't known about that contract and we hear him say, "I quit," I probably would have been like, oh dude, like,
he's actually
done.
Like,
this is a shoot. This is a shoot, right? This is a shoot promo right now. Like, he's not messing around. And I think that's just making it better. Now, overall, thought it was perfectly executed. Again, this storyline has been an unexpected storyline because if you think about it, the original plan was supposed to be Punk and Rollins at WrestleMania.
Right.
And Drew was rearview mirror, not really, like, maybe waiting in the wings, and there's no build-up for it. Now we get this rivalry, and it's probably I mean, I say that about the Alpha Academy as well, but if we're thinking for a major title or a storyline that's not involving any title, actually, now that I think about it, I mean, this is old school Attitude Era rivalry where you didn't need a title you didn't need a title to elevate the storytelling. I mean, I think back to Triple H and Shawn Michaels' first rivalry they did together. Triple H attacked Shawn Michaels and broke up DX. There was no title involved throughout that entire rivalry, but it was always the main event of a pay-per-view.
And you could
like
place
that,
a title in there, but the title wasn't the most important thing. It was a blood feud between brothers who just had an issue with this. And actually, fans have been clamoring for Bad Blood to come back, the pay-per-view Bad Blood to come back, that hasn't been seen since 2004. So, I mean, like I said, you could eventually maybe see their first match against each other be a first blood match at Bad Blood against each other, and that be your main event, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Bad Blood, at First Blood match at Bad Blood, I mean, I'd be down for that, and you could sell a whole pay-per-view off of that. The rest of the time, the rest of the matches won't even matter as much.
I'm down for it. Bring it back.
I thought they were bringing it back. I thought they've confirmed that.
I haven't seen any official notification that Bad Blood is coming back, but I could check that for sure. But yeah, I mean, no, I just saw fanfare, like fans really like, oh, bring back Bad Blood. Like these two really got like big issues with each other and stuff like that. So no, I mean the pay-per-view Bad Blood I think would be huge for this feud with these two. Another feud that is brewing that is coming up if he isn't dead is Otis finally standing up to Chad Gable. Earlier in the night, before Chad Gable showed up on our TVs with a gunshot wound, bullet shot wound to his head, to his temple, he was in a match where he was trying to qualify for the Money in the Bank briefcase. Things did not go his way. And obviously, he began to take it out on Alpha Academy again. And you saw the same thing where he starts berating them, starts talking terrible to them, and he gets really upset with them. And finally, Otis had enough. And he pushed Chad Gable right down on his flat bottom. And then he gets out the ring and he grabs Maxine Dupree and he carries her off along with
Tozawa.
I want to call him Tozawa. Sorry, it's too many T wrestling names. Anyways, Tozawa. And so they began, and then it comes to the back, and he's like, "Where you guys going? What are you doing?" And he says that we're out of here. You know, we're leaving. We're done. And so that essentially ends their tenure in the Alpha Academy, thus leaving Chad Gable all by himself. Do we see a couple things? How did this make you feel? And then two, do we see the Creed brothers come help him now, or does Otis have to do something very dastardly in his triple threat match after he loses this week? Because I assume he's going to lose, and it'll either be Braun Strowman or Bronson Reed in that in the Money in the Bank. But in order, does he have to do something dastardly to try to get his IC championship title match, or do they save it for after he doesn't win the Money in the Bank, and then he does something the next week after Money in the Bank to get that IC championship match?
It's kind of curious because right now with the Wyatt 6 stuff, Chad's been a target. One of the messages, he says, it's ever since you stopped saying thank you. And when Otis said we're out in the locker, if you notice, one of the lockers, the Rambling Rabbit puppet was there looking.
Oh, wow.
So it with the Creeds being involved, because they've teased that, it just all depends how far they're going to be booking with this, especially now. I can see it playing almost into next year. Maybe Royal Rumble with the Creed brothers joining and just letting the Wyatt 6 stuff play out, build them up, then build back Gable and this new faction. But I'm also curious what they're going to do with Otis in the Alpha Academy. Is Otis finally going to be leader and leading? Because when he was Heavy Machinery, it was almost, I'd say, even till he won Money in the Bank. He wasn't really a leader, but, Tucker and him played off pretty well off each other.
Right.
So it's just, I'm curious about their booking for Otis. Because, I think it's going to have to lead to a point where there's a match between Chad and Otis. And, they come in to help him. Maybe some more background talks in the back with the Creed brothers and Gable, talking. Because there's been a lot of that, them talking. So I think it's probably going to be one of those matches where they book Otis versus Gable. Then they come in, interfere, and all that.
Right. So, yeah, go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, no, you're fine. I see how this plays out now with him. Like, you can't just say, okay, let's focus back on Alpha Academy and getting the Creed brothers in now. It's like we gotta figure out, like, what's the storyline with the Wyatt 6? Why are they targeting him? Like, yes, we have our assumptions, but why did he get targeted? And we got to have that play out first before we move on to the next thing. And I think what's going to happen is as this plays, I do feel like Otis is probably going to feel guilty that he caused that.
He might have pulled the trigger. Let's face it, he might have been the one pulling the trigger and be like, hey, cover me, guys. I love Watt Bray. Just please cover me. All right, we got you.
Very true. But I think it's going to maybe lead to a semi-reunion, maybe not like a big one, but where Otis just like feels bad and wants to help out Gable as a apology and kind of as his penance. But as that progresses, I think Gable will eventually get the Creed brothers to attack Otis, and that's how they will get that going. I think it's probably going to be something, I think probably after SummerSlam is what I would think. Maybe even, as you said, Frito's into Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, something. But we can't jump into it now. We have to do this. We have to have storyline first.
Agreed. 1,000% agreed. I'm just curious to see where the story goes. Like I said, but one thing we've seen about Triple H, one thing he is good at, one thing he does not do is he does not convolute stories. This story has the potential to be convoluted, but I'm really hoping that he can keep it together in their writing with their writing team, and they can know exactly what's what and keep everything clear, keep the storylines clear. Either he's going to finish up with Otis and the Alpha Academy and then feud with the Wyatt Six, or is he going to go for a championship still, or like what's the plan for Chad Gable? But I'm just thankful that Chad Gable has a lot going on, because under the McMahon regime, he was just a comedy act, but now he's actually being taken as a serious a-hole wrestler heel that is, you know what I'm saying, drawing money and in big feuds. And that's what it's really all about. The titles and stuff will come. That's why I try to tell everybody, especially when they're clamoring for their favorites to win the championship, like, oh, Drew's got to win the world title, or oh, you got to put the belt on LA Knight, or oh, you got to do this. I'm like, listen, the belt is fine, but really the belt is a prop. When you really understand that the character has to validate the championship, the matches have to add up to the championship, there's levels to this. Like, you can have, popularity, but your popularity will only take you so far. You got to be able to wrestle, you got to be able to cut promos, and you got to be able to keep people invested in you once they give you the championship. Otherwise, they're gonna take it off you real quick. So I'm thankful that they are doing some real character building with this evil Chad Gable character, and I'm really excited to see where they take that next. Speaking of next, we have to go to Jacob Fatu debuting into the Bloodline. So let me set the scene for you folks. It's Friday Night SmackDown. It's your main event. It is Solo Sikoa versus Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes finally getting the upper hand on Solo throughout the match. And then finally we see the Bloodline come out, even though they weren't supposed to be left in the back. But the Bloodline comes out and they start to try to interfere. Obviously, Randy and Kevin come out and whatnot, and then they beat up the Tongans and then throw them out the ring, and they're all circling Solo Sikoa, who has dropped down into the corner and looks like he's begging, and then he just begins to start laughing. And as he starts laughing, they pan over out the corner, and you see Jacob Fatu come and make his WWE debut, gives out a pair of super kicks, as well as and then they, like I said, they all try to get everything together. They're fighting, and then I lost my train of thought. Hands out a pair of super kicks, beats everybody up. Cody starts to get some offense on them, starts to knock them out, starts to begin to knock him out over the top rope, and then he falls to the ground. Then he goes back over there, focuses back on Solo Sikoa. When he does that, he takes his eyes off of him. That's when Solo gets the upper hand. Obviously, they throw Cody on top of the announce table, and Jacob Fatu climbs to the top rope and then jumps from the skies down onto Cody Rhodes, leaving him a pile, leaving Orton and Kevin Owens beaten up as well. And yeah, SmackDown goes off the air like that. What did you guys think of this? In the beginning, the debut of Jacob Fatu into the Bloodline, and what does this do for you as far as the Bloodline storyline? Does this legitimize the Bloodline for you? Does it make Solo look stronger as a leader, or like, I mean, what are you guys feeling with this Bloodline storyline right now?
Well, first off, Jacob, brilliant, beautiful. That's how you make an entrance into WWE. And I also give props to Corey Graves on commentary building up Fatu, because he said this guy has a criminal record, which he does. He has been in jail before, and that he's been very open about that the reason why he became a wrestler was because he was in prison and on the those wrestling. And he said he kind of had a change of heart and wanted to start doing that. So it's, again, that realism that you bring into the wrestling stories. The thing is, I think he's the established leader now. I mean, yes, Solo.
Wow.
Solo's calling the shots, but I mean, just watching him, he came in with an aura on him.
Yeah.
Like everyone focused on him. If you think back to at Clash of the Castle when he screwed Drew out of the title, not a lot of people were like, oh, this is great. He's just another Roman henchman and everything like that. With Fatu, everyone was like, oh my gosh, like this guy can cause some serious damage. And I love the little subtleties that the Tongans did at the end of SmackDown. They both got in the ring and they kind of looked at each other, and you actually saw fear in their eyes with Fatu there.
Yep.
And I thought that was a great show how insane this guy is. And Zillow Fatu posted something and on X and said, I think it was something along the lines of coming soon. Yeah. I would not be surprised if this new Bloodline, they just straight up, I think Zillow will join, and they just straight up kick Solo out.
Wow. I never thought about that, but that's true. That is a possibility that they like, you know what? You're out, Solo. You're the weak link. Even though Solo's the one bringing them all in there. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy. Oh, Cubs just scored, just hit a home run. Christopher Morel hit his 15th home run of the season. Thank you very much. Scores 4-2 now.
I was about to say 7-1.
Oh. Ouch. 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 More hits, more hurts. No, but yeah, no, back to this. I think this storyline has endless possibilities. But I do like that you just floated that Jacob Fatu becomes the leader of the new Bloodline. They kick Solo out. And then it's 4-on-4, because then the 4-on-4 makes sense. It's Roman and Solo and you get Jay and you get Jim back, and then just against these 4 new guys, and these 4 new guys stop calling themselves the Bloodline. They call themselves something else. And then, like I said, and you know, you got these guys going to war together. But that Jacob Fatu, he did look like he had just had an aura about him, and he looks grimy. Like the rest of them look too clean. He looks dirty. He gives me like the Briscoes down dirty, muddy feeling with him, like with the dreads that are halfway done, half undone, and the scars on his face, and his mouth isn't all beautiful, and the teeth and everything like that. Like you look at the Usos, look at Roman, like those guys look like Samoan royalty. This guy looks like a Samoan warrior. Like he's getting ready to whoop somebody's ass, and it don't matter who, anybody can get it. You know, and that to me is like, that's the type of character that you need to muck this story up and stuff like that. But remember, there's penalties for losing. if Solo loses or continues to lose, because the word right now is that Solo is scheduled to face Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. There are penalties
I thought
for
it was
losing.
Money in the Bank.
Oh, is it Money in the Bank? I thought it was SummerSlam, but it could be Money in the Bank.
I know Seth's got his match with Damian on Money in the Bank. Oh, Seth returned, guys.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. Yeah,
Oh,
Seth Rollins
true,
returned too. Yep, Seth Rollins and Damian Priest, but we all know Priest is going to retain. Seth's not going to win the title, so I didn't put that as a feature, something that we need to talk about. But nevertheless, yes. So Money in the Bank, it looks like it's going to be Solo versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. Remember, there are penalties for losing, and this whole time, Paul Heyman has been trying to talk Solo and tell him, like, listen, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing by bringing these guys here. We specifically did not bring these guys here for a reason. So it could be that the Samoans are getting into the WWE and so Solo's letting them in, and then they turn on Solo and beat him up, and then he joins back with his family, or he calls his family to come help him. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But I'm excited to see what happens with this Jacob Fatu lead in into the Bloodline, because this is crazy right now. Next up, we have the Owen Cup returning at Forbidden Door. I can read the brackets to you. So the tournament final for that shall be held at Forbidden Door for the women's tournament. It'll be Willow Nightingale versus Serena Deeb on one side, and then Nyla Rose and Chris Statlander going against each other. Then on the other side, you got Mariah May and Saraya going up against each other, and you got Deonna Purrazzo versus Hikaru Shida going against each other. If you ask me, I would bet my money on Deonna Purrazzo to come out with the Owen Hart women's tournament, the Owen Hart Cup women's tournament title from the women's side. Out of those names, guys, who do you think will end up winning it?
I wouldn't mind Willow winning it, really. Just with her storylines going on, I feel like it'd be just kind of a bounce back after losing the title and all that. So it'd be a nice little bump.
Yep.
I think Willow will definitely make the finals. She is going to face, I think it's going to be her and Chris Statlander. I think Statlander wins that. I think her push is finally coming.
Willow and Statlander would have to face each other in the quarterfinals. I'm sorry, in the semifinal. Yeah, because like I said, because they're on the same side of the bracket.
Sides. Oh, nope. I thought you meant on opposites. Well, either way, they're going to face each other for that. And so I think at that point, then probably Statlander would beat Willow. Statlander's my pick to win the Cup.
To go to distance.
Yeah, I think that ever since she turned heel, she's been getting a lot more crowd reaction, and I think that's good for her. I think she's already a talented wrestler. I think it's finally time that they're going to pull the trigger on her and give her a championship.
Yeah, we'll see. That'll be interesting. On the men's side, we have Claudio Castagnoli versus Pac, and then we have Bryan Danielson versus Shingo Takagi, and then Ray Phoenix on the other side versus Jay White, and then Jeff Jarrett, and then there's a wild card spot. So that is the brackets for the men's side. I'm gonna go the distance and say Bryan Danielson is probably gonna do his thing, and probably go the distance here. Also putting on banger matches while he's doing it. So that's my pick. I would pick Bryan Danielson, but who knows with Tony Khan's booking? Who knows what that wild card is gonna be either.
I'd do the same pick. I know on program he's mentioned like his time's coming up, He's feeling everything from wrestling, the injuries, the concussions, all that. So if this is truly his last run, I mean, he's had a bunch of last runs, but if this is truly his last run, I think it'd be a great way for his career to end on a high note with the Owen Cup.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah, I'm right there with you guys.
Yeah, he would win the Owen Cup and then essentially earn a AEW World Championship match off of that.
Mm-hmm. That too. I mean, if he goes out one more title for going out, I think it boosts his career. So I think if they want to pay respect to him and what he's done to the business, it's smart.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I think Danielson's going to win that one. One thing I want to point out is, we don't really talk about the video packages by AEW, and I mean, most of the time they're not that great, if we're being honest. They're very lackluster. There was a lot of heat when Jeff Jarrett was put into the tournament, but I will say AEW did a great on why Jarrett is going to be in this tournament because of his relationship with Owen Hart, and when they were in WCW and before WCW 2, I think just by doing that, people have been like, okay, that makes sense, and that's proper storytelling. And
sure.
I'm hoping that's a step in the right direction for AEW, like production wise, because
we can only hope,
it
right?
makes sense. But again, that I'm not sure, but I want to give props. And I thought they did a great job with Jeff Jarrett and the reasoning why he's in this Owen Cup.
Agreed. I just want some good wrestling and good linear storytelling out of AEW and with this Owen Cup, and make it make sense. If this is really, if it's really going to be like this, I think that it would be great if it's Daniel's last run, that you really just give him the Rocky treatment all the way out the door. Let him run the table, run the gauntlet, win his matches. I mean, I'm talking about like at the last second winning these matches, getting people to tap out, all these good things, like really make him look strong and get him all the way to the AEW World title. Maybe he comes up short. Maybe he wins it. Maybe he comes up short. But either way, like I said, I just think that it would be great for him to have that type of run and then go on from there to become a part-time wrestler after that. So we'll see.
Well, what's probably going to happen is, Ospreay, I bet Ospreay beats Swerve for the AEW title to become a double champ. And then at that point, Danielson wins the Owen Cup. We get Ospreay Danielson 2. That'll be kind of the send-off for Danielson.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. That would
also,
not be bad at all.
We were synced there, Mike. That ooze. That was beautiful. That was a beautiful moment.
Listen, Fritos, like I said, we're riding together, brother. We're riding together. And speaking of riding together, guys, back by popular demand, it's been gone for 2 weeks, but now it returns. It's time for Fritos Fave 5.
Hit my music, Mike.
Okay, I'm hitting it.
Sponsored by Zin.
Oh, what was that?
Hopefully Zin.
Give me a second to pop our future sponsor, Zin. The government may try to ban these delicious treats, but guess what? I'm going to fight them, and we're going to keep the Zins. I'm going to have one honorable mention. Not a wrestler, but a movie that came out last week. I missed doing it to put on my list because, I was out. But it's Godzilla and Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. If you watch the movie, Godzilla hits the cleanest suplex I've ever seen. And also, I got a new Godzilla poster, guys. The nerd room is growing. At number 5, I got Otis and the Alpha Academy. Finally, Otis and the rest of them are tired of Perk gaslighting Chad Gable. I'm excited to see what the creative does with him going on in the future and with Gable's storyline. At number 4, say his name and he shall appear. Joe Hendry. He finally arrived in WWE on NXT, the 25-man Battle Royal. He may have been short-lived, being the first one eliminated, but guess what? I'm excited for the future storytelling with him with that video afterwards on X. At number 3, I've got Drew and Punk. This storyline is dirty, gritty, and they're all out seeking for blood. There's no gold. We don't need that. But guess what? This is all about honor and respect, and I love it. At number 2, I've got the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu. He finally made his debut, taking out Randy, Kevin, and Cody, and maybe seizing that top line spot in the new Bloodline, or whatever they're going to be called. At number 1, this is no surprise, the Wyatt Six. We saw him commit murder on live television, and I loved every second of it. They killed Chad Gable. They killed a bunch of random staff members. And guess what? I'm ready to see what they're doing with the Reign of Terror. And that is a Frito's Fave 5. Yeah.
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 Okay. What did you think of Frito's Fave 5 this week, Coach?
I'm going to give it B+.
Okay.
What
would you change?
I definitely would change the order. Not Wyatt.
Okay.
Wyatt 6. Yeah, no, that stays. That stays. I would put Hendry second. Jacob Fatu third. Drew and Punk 4. But at 5, I would go with Seth Rollins returning over the Alpha Academy. That is my only disregard. If you would have had Rollins in there, then it would have just been order-wise, and I would have given you an A. But I must give you a B+, my Booker of the Year.
Thank you, my wise man. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna go and give it probably a B as well. I think you did a good job with it this week, Fritos. I think that the one thing that I would change, obviously, I'm taking out the Chad Gable storyline. I'm taking that out of there probably, and I'm gonna put probably the LA Knight Logan Paul thing in there. Their interactions, just because, like I said, it's just building up, and I would put that probably number 5. Outside of that, I think you did an awesome job this week. It was a hard week. It was a lot of good things to put on.
And shaking the rust off too. You know how hard it was breaking the rust off these chains. But this week of wrestling is probably one of the toughest I have had to do for a Fave 5.
Sure. So everybody, we appreciate you guys for watching us, for listening us talk about some wrestling. We're just a bunch of wrestling nerds that love to talk about it. And we hope that you love talking about wrestling too. I'm trying to get these guys to go with me to Indiana to the Royal Rumble next year. If Indiana hosts the Royal Rumble at Lucas Oil Stadium where the Colts play, the We Book It boys need to go. We need to take a dude's trip and go to the Royal Rumble together, spend the whole weekend, do Friday Night SmackDown, do Saturday at the Rumble, and then drive back after that. That will be in January. So that's the hope, and hopefully we see a lot of you guys out there. We'll definitely take pictures and actually get pictures with Coachman's face in it this time.
Yeah, seriously.
Hey, I made a Photoshop one. We haven't shared it yet.
Yeah, I'm not sharing that. But anyways.
I worked hard on that.
Hey, it shows off my figure.
For sure. It's a stick.
I know. You can tell I lost some weight.
Good Lord. Anyways, we appreciate you guys always, from Fritos, from Coach, from Mike. We appreciate you guys. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time. Can't wait to talk more wrestling with you. Peace.